Last week on the campaign, the party members arrived in Neverwinter. Derek, Rexa, and Orion make their way to the rich part of town as Huckabus makes his way to the Rusty Bucket. Huckabus had questions that he wanted to ask Mara, but Mara was unable or unwilling to talk with Huckabus at that point. Unable to have his questions answered by Mara, Huckabus made his way to his contact in the Thieves Guild, Jay. Huckabus filled Jay in on his recent adventures and reminded Jay that Huckabus was still waiting to find out if anyone in the graveyard knew anything about his mother's death. Jay hints that he may have some leads for Huckabus and deftly pivots into asking Huckabus to go run an errand for him down in the graveyard. Jay asks Huckabus to go through the graveyard down into the crevice with a new guy who showed some promise and an old friend of Huckabus that Jay managed to acquire. Jay explains how to access a concealed entrance into the crevice and instructs Huck on how to get to a temple that has recently become exposed. As Huckabus and Jay talk, the halfling rogue Mordecai Thorngage, more commonly known as Mort, and the Goliath barbarian Skullcrusher make their way into the front room and briefly introduce themselves to Huck. After a brief bit of banter and a short stop at the Rusty Bucket, Huckabus, Mort, and Skullcrusher make their way to the crevice. As Mort carefully makes his way down into the crevice, Skullcrusher and Huckabus descend less carefully and clumsily plummet onto the crevice floor. Skeletons that have been picked clean lie scattered on the floor as they make their way through the crevice, and Huckabus notices footprints that indicate other people's recent presence along the path. The footprints continue on to the temple that the party is seeking, briefly go in, and then leave again without going in very far. Mort borrows Huckabus's magic torch and does a quick scan of the temple entrance. After seeing nothing dangerous on the ground, Mort glances up and sees two figures moving amongst the statues looking down on the entrance area. Mort calls for Huckabus and Skullcrusher to look at the figures. The figures, now very much appearing to be gargoyles, swoop down and harass Skullcrusher and Huckabus. Mort hides in the shadows and fires his crossbow at the two monsters. Just as Skullcrusher goes down, and right before Huckabus goes down, Mort manages to finish off the final creature. As the creature collapses in front of him, Mort hears the sound of metal bits falling onto the floor. Huckabus attempts to stabilize Skullcrusher by poking his wound with his rattle to little effect. Mort manages to stabilize Skullcrusher, and Huckabus fills Mort in on some of the adventures he's recently had in a clockwork temple and with a demon from nowhere. Mort doesn't want to leave the unconscious Skullcrusher lying in the middle of the temple while Mort and Huckabus go exploring, so Mort feeds him a healing potion and gets him back up on his feet. Still injured, the party decides to take a short rest before continuing on with their exploration of the temple. After their short rest, a devil whose body is covered in spikes appears and tells Huckabus that if the party values their lives, they should leave the temple. In his hands, the devil is holding a book. Huckabus recommends that the party make a hasty retreat, while at the same time continuing to try and strike up a friendship with the devil. Huckabus attempts to bargain with the devil for information regarding his father, but when he doesn't get an acceptable answer, he attempts to barricade the devil inside the temple. Finding himself trapped, the devil resumes bargaining. While the conversation is going on, the devil uses flame to carve a hole in the metal door. Huckabus relays to the party the devil's instructions to leave, and Skullcrusher takes off running towards where the party initially descended into the crevice. As he's running off, Huckabus is briefly given a glimpse of the devil's eyes, and he can see that the book is covered in gears, and that the title of the book is written on the cover. Upon seeing this, Huckabus quickly shoots a firebolt in front of Skullcrusher to get him to quit running away, and the party returns to the temple door to lay in wait for the devil to exit. After a few tense minutes, two balls of fire shoot out of the hole in the general direction of Skullcrusher. Skullcrusher attempts to move a boulder out from in front of the door and sprains his ankle in the process. From within the temple, a bright flash appears and Mort lets loose a crossbow bolt. Suddenly, the voice that had been in everyone's head vanished. After several minutes of attempting to move the boulder from in front of the door, the party manages to gain entrance into the temple where they discover the severed tail of the devil lying in a pool of ichor, neatly severed by a crossbow bolt. With the demon gone, the party explores the temple, and Huckabus realizes that the temple is dedicated to Derek Spencer's new god. Huckabus walks up to the altar in the temple and attempts to reach out to speak with this god in his mind. The god tells Huckabus the book was only intended for those who understand limits and responsibilities, and that she's concerned with the current possessor of the book. The god says Huckabus may soon find information he seeks about his father, but that it may not be what Huckabus hopes for. The god also says that she can be called Lady Machine, and that Derek can reach her if needed. Halkivist passes on some information to Mort and Skullcrusher, at which point the party proceeds back to meet with Jay. The party fills Jay in on what happened, and Jay recommends that a large party, much like the one Halkivist usually travels with, be best for facing down this demon. Halkivist says he'll be meeting up with this party soon when Jay tells him that Mara is now ready to talk with him. Skullcrusher is told he's not yet free from his service to Jay, and Jay suggests Mort should follow along with Halkivist's party to keep an eye on Jay's interests. Halkivist, Skullcrusher, and Mort make their way back to the Rusty Bucket, where Huck is informed that Sophie suffered some sort of fainting spell and hasn't been able to be woken. Huck is told to make his way to the back of the bar, where Mara is waiting. As he's leaving, Huck asks Mort and Skullcrusher to tell the rest of his party what happened, and Charlie offers to put them in touch with the party. Skullcrusher and Mort go up to their rooms in the Rusty Bucket to wait to meet up with Halkivist's party. And that's what happened last week on the campaign.
Very nicely done. So, yes. Finally gathering at the Rusty Bucket are, as you said, Skullcrusher and Mort were there. Over the next few hours, Derek and Rexa make their way to the almost your pseudo headquarters here in the city now that Sophie is out of commission. There you guys are, hanging out in the common room of the Rusty Bucket. What would you like to do?
I assume that in my time at the library and studying all things of Lady Machina and engineering and things of that sort, that I managed to take a few books with me. Is that safe to assume?
You probably can get a couple of engineering books. There are very, very, very few books about Lady Machina, and they're extremely rare and extremely valuable. You are allowed to look through them, but you would not be allowed to take them out. But some of the more generic.
Would I have been able to take notes on what I came across in those books?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so I will probably be sitting with a few of the more pertinent engineering books and trying to correlate those to my notes and trying to get a better feel overall of my deity.
The thing that is most obvious to you, and it comes to you fairly quickly, is that what you saw in the Lady Machina's books is amazingly more advanced than almost all of the other engineering books that you can find. You do find a couple, similar to one that you've got with you, that are at least in the same ballpark. But
sure.
Even those are not nearly as sophisticated as what the holy books have in them.
Okay, so I would have taken excessive notes on anything relating to Lady Machina and the sciences that relate, and I would be working very diligently to try and correlate the engineering books that we have now to the knowledge that Lady Machina had.
Right, so just not exactly, but just kind of as a scope, you can kind of imagine the current books are, not that different than what they would have had in the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
And probably Machina's books are probably more Industrial Revolution, maybe a little more steampunk, obviously added into it.
Sure.
So that gives you a feel for the difference.
Okay, so yeah, I'll be drinking an ale and poring over my notes at a table, at a nice quiet table.
All right, so Derek's over reading. What about the rest of you?
And just then, Rexa would come in. She's the last to arrive. She's been, as you said, over the time of the last, couple of weeks, she made a kindred spirit for some reason with Sophie, and she felt like she should just be there for her, after she, went into this spell of unconsciousness, and very frustrated, very not understanding. She looks dead. She doesn't even know why she was doing it, but she felt like she just needed to be there for her. And she walks in and walks right up to Derek Spencer and sits down right across from him, very nicely. Nothing aggressive. Nothing, nothing to be at all intimidating. Just sits down and goes, "I think she's gone, buddy. I think she's. I, I don't even. She's not dead. She has. She breathes, but she's she's just gone. I don't know. I think I don't know. Do you know anything about this type of thing, Derek Spencer?"
Derek will, without even breaking his gaze from his notes and stuff, just reply calmly. Her spirit has returned to the Great Machine. Um, sometimes the soul gets called back before the body is ready. Um, and if this is the case, there's very little we can do for her now.
So what do we do with her body?
The body has to be allowed to pass in its own time.
Well, she's at the whatever that really rich place that she paid for was called. They said that they will keep an eye on her, but I can't sit there anymore.
No, the Sophie that we knew is gone at this point. Like
But
I said, her spirit has been called back to the Great Machine. Her body now is just a shell. It's just an empty shell.
and having bad ADD, she looks at you and goes, "Are you different now?"
Derek at that would probably peer up from his notes, probably glance over the small reading glasses he has acquired at Rexa and say, "I'm not sure what you mean."
Hey, Ken, you're getting a lot of echo off of you.
Oh, for me? Sorry.
Mm. So, yeah, it's still there. Funny. Yeah. So, Rexa would look at him and go, "Well, I know we didn't start on the right path. I know that we've even traded blood, and that's what my people do when we're told that we have something to do. But are you are you fixed, Derek Spencer? Have you found the deity that is so important that I needed to upend my whole life to come do this?"
Derek chuckles for a second and says, "Rexa, I've spent the last 2 to 3 weeks holed up in a library researching everything I can on this. I think that alone should be a sufficient answer." And he'll kind of motion to all of the notes that he has scattered about in front of him on the table.
And that means nothing to her. It's not, I mean, anything that even makes sense. It's She doesn't probably even know you've written this all in common. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. She doesn't probably even know how to write common. Maybe she knows how to read a lot of it and some of it, but the actual writing of it, not interested. Not something that even orcs are interested in, as far as I'm concerned. She goes, I. So then, should I leave? And she looks very, very concerned.
Derek pauses for a moment and thinks. He says, "You were sent here to ensure I found a god and found some rightly path in the world, correct?"
I was sent here because Tharok said I had to be. You know, you know enough about us orcs, I'm sure. You know, you lived right next to us. That it doesn't have to make sense. If I'm told to do it, I am to do it. So, did I really care if you found a god? No. I care to fix this. And that's like the only way she understands how to say it. I mean, she feels like she has to fix you.
So, I want you to tell me, Rexa, what exactly did Tharok say you needed to do?
You need God.
I would think, at this point, that it would be fairly safe to suffice that you have obeyed the letter of the law. Have I found a god? Yes. That's what you were asked to do.
Certain. I don't know what else you were talking about, but I understand you found a God. Um, you said 15 words I didn't even know there. Um, I, uh, I, I think this is what it is. Um, am I still welcome? You are the only person I know here, and then he looks around and realizes you are the only person he knows here.
Rex, I bear no ill will. I have moved past that. I have found something else to devote my time and energy to. If you wish to continue traveling, that's fine. I do not know where our paths may go. Obviously, Sophie has gone. I don't know where Huck is. I don't know where Orin is. But I will continue the path that I think is best for Lady Machina's will. And if you wish to accompany me on that journey, then you are more than welcome to.
Lady Machina. Is that the God?
Yes.
And her eyes, brighten and goes, Machina. That's a cool name. Is
So
okay.
at this point, I assume that Mort's just been sitting off at the bar off to the side. Um, he wouldn't know you guys. He'd been given the description. But hearing Huck's name, who he's actually met, he's gonna walk over. Excuse me, did you guys mention Huckabus?
And very quickly, Rexa turns much more back into Rexa and goes, who's asking, little man? And kind of peers over you.
So looking straight up at this point, despite probably standing on a chair so you can see over the table, still staring straight up. Oh, hello there. It's my name's Mordecai Thorngage. I'm an associate of Huckabus's through Jay, I believe you've heard of. Uh, Jay,
What?
You know Huckabus, right?
Yeah, looks like, uh, red, white
Candy,
stripes.
yeah, Candy Cane Man.
Yeah.
We've got a mutual acquaintance.
Oh, wait, his boss.
Yeah, our boss, yeah. Um,
Oh, he's not my boss, my friend.
no, he's my boss,
Oh. And
Jay.
she, sure.
Anyways, so recently met Huckabus. He had to run off and take care of some errands, I think. Um, we ran into some stuff. I can fill you in on that, but basically Huck suggested that it would be best if you guys helped out with taking care of that stuff. He thought that you guys would be useful, would appreciate that challenge.
Oh, wait a second.
Andy.
Yeah.
Andy?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah. Am I
We can hear
still?
you, Ken.
Did I cut out? Hello.
No, I can absolutely hear you, Andy.
Okay.
Yeah, I can too,
I
Andy.
think it's a Ken issue.
Ken's stuff is broken.
Yeah, it happens once a session. You know,
All right.
Andy, you've watched all of them for the most part. But hold on, let's wait for him to probably time out and then come back because he seemed to want to tell you something.
Yeah. Make sure.
So Rexy would just look back at Spencer and go, "Where?" And he looks back at the very much smaller person than he's accustomed to seeing. They make them all sizes, don't they?
I'm sorry. What did he say he was? I was half paying attention because I was talking to Ken.
He's a halfling.
Oh, okay. Yes, the Lady Machina needs all sizes of cogs and sprockets for the great machine.
Oh, yeah, I found some cogs and sprockets. I pulled out just a gear or two that I picked up in the temple last week, or I guess yesterday, depending on in game.
You have cogs.
What is cog?
Yeah. So I pull out the little gear, just a little. For me, probably palm-sized gear, and I'll just kind of drop it on the table.
And I will quickly pick it up, examine it, cross-reference my notes, and put it into my bags.
Who's watching Star Trek?
That's my wife watching Star Trek First Contact.
That is an awesome word.
Excellent choice.
That felt really awesome to say.
Hey, there's somebody in this room that was the first person to ever call her Mrs. Atchison. So, whatever. That was me. She'll confirm that. It's the truth. Besides maybe like the officiant person.
Yeah, but I had been calling her Mrs. Atchison for about 2 weeks prior to that, so.
Yeah, but you don't matter. So it's okay. You're just her husband now.
Yeah, I'm just her husband. It doesn't matter.
Oh man. So, but man, yeah, you guys missed a really good time. I know that Jackson's is too small to understand that time, but man, it was a really good time. Absolutely. We're still here. Yeah, something weird seems to happen with his every single time. It's something weird. And it usually starts with that double talk thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens pretty much every session.
Yeah, have you seen that video of the weirdest one of all that, Andy? Because if we haven't,
Ken cut it and posted it separately, but yeah, it was just like a good 10 minutes. Everyone freaking out because no one could understand the other person and just laughing. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It tells me I can't find Google Hangout. Okay. Well, then why don't we jump out and make a new one? Like we had to. Oh. He needs to restart.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Let's have him restart, see if he can jump back in. If not, we'll all back out and have him form a new one.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Thank you, Mr. Flag. How are you doing this evening?
Good and eating.
Oh, you're eating. What are you having, sir?
Chicken.
Okay, fantastic.
Fried chicken.
Fried chicken? Who doesn't like fried chicken?
It's bread chicken.
It's just breaded chicken, huh? Nice, dude. We had that the other day, remember?
Yeah.
Come on. Put a shirt on.
I can't.
Like that was. Hey, please, that wasn't like a suggestion. Please go put a shirt on. Like right now. Thank you. This is being taped, Jackson. Kind of weird having your kid in here. And there's somebody bigger than me. What? Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting looking party. The dude is about 3 feet tall.
Yeah.
A human being that is now just mystified by gears and cogs and all this other crazy shit. And a rather large, as you can see from my
You're saying
picture.
hi.
Hey, little lady. Bye. Be good.
We're dogs sitting still.
Yeah, you're at Myra's house, Jackson.
Huh?
You're at Myra's house.
Oh, sorry.
Jackson, if you aren't talking, man, keep yourself on mute because you got a lot of background noise, man.
Right. You got the dogs. You got Sarah talking, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
so.
Sarah won't shut up today.
But